Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're watching Allastrology. This is the week of November 24th and the following 7 days. We're talking values, shocks and surprises, news and information. November 24th, 2025 and the following 7 days. We're talking Venus, Mercury, we're talking Uranus, but we also will have Neptune and Jupiter. And you see the big water trine is still in the chart, that big blue triangle. It's a focus on Jupiter energy, Jupiter in Cancer at 24 degrees. We've talked about the different meanings for Jupiter and how it can come through in Cancer energy and be really beautiful energy because it is exalted. It's usually very giving, very benevolent, can even provide some protection. It can be a time of higher empathy, higher compassion, higher intuitions, stronger nurturing energy, and a really good time, especially at 24 degrees for the public, Cancer energy, home and family, emotional stability, emotional security, to feel a little bit more secure, to feel a little bit more emotionally stable. Jupiter can increase the emotions, so it can bring in some optimism and more of a hopeful outlook for the future. Jupiter in Cancer. Because it's a Jupiter retrograde, likely we're talking judges. So courtrooms and decisions being made. And when you think of your home, like literally where you live, I mean, other than just the housing market, but your community, your neighborhood, right? Your fellow friends, family, coworkers, whoever, whatever makes up your tribal energy, the people that you vibe with energetically, feeling a sense of oneness with Jupiter energy, remember, can be benevolent, but can, being that ancient ruler of that Pisces energy, it brings in even stronger Pisces vibrations at that degree. That's a Pisces degree. So this is a mixture of Pisces and Neptune and Jupiter energy. So there can be, government stuff, because when we look onto the Saggy energy in the chart, the sun is going through all of that. And so that's the authority figure, the ultimate authority of the justice system. Now, with that said, we still have this strong trine going on with Mercury and Venus, with my money, my values, my finances, business, and tariffs, right? Taxes and tariffs and shared values, Scorpio money, Scorpio gold, and things we have to dig for and drill for and mine for. Big time Scorpio energy. So there's rare earth minerals, the stuff we need for the technology. Business because it's Mercury, but the financial game plan going forward, what's going on with that? Seems like things are always changing. So the money and the values, banking, money in the bank, and our values, and especially insurance money. So Mercury's retrograding. These two are conjunct here, but they start to pull apart this week because Mercury's going back to 20 degrees. And she's going to get there like tomorrow. The next day, Mercury will be at 20, and she stays at 20 for about 4 days. 20 degrees is important. That's a Scorpio degree. So for sure, news and information about tariffs, about taxes, about the rare earth minerals, and hopefully maybe some good news, maybe something more optimistic will come through, because the tariffs literally are just a tax and the little people pay the tax. So hopefully there'll be some relief of some sort to stop these self-imposed additional taxes on the little people. Values, local community, transportation, news, money. We think Venus, creature of comforts, but our shared values, again, taxes and insurance, with benevolent Jupiter in the picture. And remember, Jupiter is about our freedoms, our rights and our freedoms. That's Jupiter energy. So when we think about the courtroom and we think about the public, we think about immigration and how, I don't know about where y'all live, but I know where I live, there's been a lot of folks detained, arrested, held, who are American-born citizens. That with Saturn there, Saturn says, I'm going to take, like, these are my goals. I'm going to work and I'm going to build towards them. So Saturn tends to add this sense of seriousness to it, which I think can be good, especially if you're a creator, right? If you're somebody looking to work on something, even if it's not being creative, it's whatever, however you use your Pisces energy. Some people just love to write or make music or listen to music, watch movies, be in movies, screenplays, paint, however you use your creative stuff. Some might just feel like they need to take more rest and sleep more. That's Pisces too. So this is overall a week where that is kind of the ruling theme. But there's going to be a couple of cautions we're going to talk about. So let me back up and go to Mercury, 20-degree mark. And that's where the Mercury retrograde ends. So literally, this is tomorrow and the next day, right? So during this time, there's a lot of focus and there's a lot in the news about the wounds of the past, the abuses in the past. There's a lot of deep psychology going on because it's 20 degrees Scorpio energy. So again, it's yes, the tariff and the taxes, but we think of even all the wounds from the different wars that have been going on, different abuses of power at home and abroad. Looking at the 28th and the 29th is when Mercury will literally go direct with this week's setup. So I'm feeling like, okay, I learned a lot. I'm thinking, my mind is active. I'm ready to probably take some action, especially towards my long-term goals, right? I want to move forward in those. The thing is, because we're still under a strong impression by Neptune and Pisces energy and the Jupiter energy, this week might be a good time to kind of observe and to take in. You can do things, right? You can partake in things like reading a book, being a little bit more inward, being a little bit more meditative type of energy. If you have to make really big life decisions, practical decisions, remember the past, the warning. It's really not a warning. It's more of a recommendation, which is you don't make any major decisions until this Mercury here. She goes from 20 degrees Scorpio. You got to wait for her to get past the 6 degrees of Sagittarius. She has to get past that. And she's not there this week. She's not there. We have some other dates on the chart, and we have Uranus and Venus, money, right? We move to the money part, Venus, on the 27th and the 27th through the 30th. Let's put it like that. We're going to have Venus sitting at the last degrees of Scorpio energy. So like December 1st, you have Venus entering Saggy. So these are critical degrees. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, we're picking back up. The system crashed, so here we are. We're going to go right back to Venus. Remember, money and values, banking. Venus in Scorpio at the 29 degrees, 28, 29. From the 27th to the 30th, money and values, taxes and tariffs, and insurance is on the table, is in the discussion. And the shocks and surprises, I have written down here, November 29th, November 30th, Venus will be in that strong exact opposition to Uranus energy. This is technology. This is authority figure, the authority of the money as well. We think of disruptions and surprises with values. And hopefully there'll be some surprises with something in terms of like a good surprise, right? Maybe there'll be some talk from an authority figure where that number of in tariff talk will become less horrific. We'll have to wait and see. But the 29, of course, is the billionaire degree, and Venus will be there. Venus will be there November 29th, November 30th. So overall for this week, that would mean that shocks and surprises are definitely on the menu for the end of the week from an authority figure. And to be clear, that Uranian energy, when it comes to values, we think, of authoritarian energy even with Uranus, meaning I'm going to be disruptive just to be disruptive because I can. But it can also, talks about group energy in your world, like on the small scale. Venus is love, desires, and money, deeply bonded energy, old history, right? Soul memory when it's in Scorpio at the 28 and the 29. So at the opposition of the Uranus, it says, I kind of need to be free, or I need different, I need new, I need excitement, right? And sometimes excitement equals, well, equals different, equals variety, equals, oh, I never done that before. Or just simply, I need a little bit of solo time. I need a little bit of freedom, because Jupiter too is about freedoms. So keep that in mind if you're in committed relationships. Keep that in mind even with your friends and the people you normally would, either hang out with or communicate with. There just might be some disruptions. And we can't forget airlines, right? And because we know about the government strike, hopefully that it's not a strike, but it's it kind of seems like a strike, but they're getting paid. Our Congress members are getting paid. Hopefully all that's over with. Um, but just remember, in your own world, it comes down to, this is a week of there's strong support for creative energy, for kind of sitting back and observing and kind of going with the flow until we get to the weekend, until this Venus gets at this opposition, because the Venus, the desire nature, is really strong in Scorpio. Like, she's willing to fight for what she desires. So when she gets opposite of, of the Uranian lightning bolt stuff, whoo, she can kind of all of a sudden do something a little different and sporadic and sudden, how a lightning bolt strikes. It's like, whoa, I came out of nowhere. So just keep all that in mind. Different is on the menu for the 29th and the 30th. So surprises and shocks with our values, love, and desires.